Hello again, everyone. It's This Week in Agribusiness meteorologist Greg Solier back in for Max Armstrong. Welcome to Farm Progress Dateline Drought. Our continuing coverage of the drought of 2012 is brought to you by Genuity Drought Guard Hybrids. Well, you wanted precipitation plenty to be anticipated over the next couple of days. This time, in this particular go-around, it'll be the liquid variety, a wide and extensive area of rain that's resulted in downpours, multi-inch rainfall totals into sections of bayou country, the southeastern plains, eastern Texas, and Oklahoma, for example, expected to gradually grind to the north and northeast over the next 48 hours. Near complete coverage rainfall expected over eastern Kansas, Missouri, eastern Iowa, all of Illinois, even as far north as Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. You know, with the warmth and the rain, that'll mean low clouds, fog, and the specter of standing water, even some runoff issues where those grounds are either snow-covered or certainly cold-soaked. Meanwhile, less propensity for runoff and standing water issues into sections of the eastern and southern Corn Belt. Storm system number 2 expected to come out of the northern and central plains, may whip up a frenzy of a wind and a surge of cold pattern over the course of Friday and the weekend. Heads up livestock managers, Nebraska, the Dakotas, Minnesota, after a fairly balmy go of it, to shift into a north wind, plummeting temperatures, and a round of heavy wind-blown snow expected over Friday and early on into the weekend. Everyone will transition into sharply colder air. Readings will likely bottom out near zero. Watch it where those grounds become exposed into the heart of winter wheat belt come the weekend. Near zero, perhaps down into sections of western Kansas and the Oklahoma Panhandle. And a big change from the 45 to 55 degree weather over the Midwest. A real shocker of the system as that cold air settles in for early next week. And we're not done with accumulating snowfall either over the course of next week as well. Well, on to the maps and charts, and at least from an upper air perspective, here is the pattern evolving over the next 8 to 14 days. Polar vortex, as we have talked about, beginning to settle to the south and southwest. Disturbance will begin to track along the core of the cold here, and the cold will be just that. Sub-average temperature readings almost coast to coast, and a frequency of weather systems that will originate over western Canada, behave like clipper systems, tap into Gulf moisture, and will likely see snows pick up again over the northern through central and eastern Corn Belt into the northeast into New England as we advance in through the mid-stretch of January as well as beyond from there. And here are those temperature readings over the next couple of weeks, back down below average and probably zero and below for the upper Midwest, parts of the winter wheat belt, and no shortage of moisture making opportunities as well as systems come through the plain states, gather moisture across the Ohio, the lower Mississippi Valley. Plenty of it, including snowfall, as we again move along nicely in through the month of January. A far cry from weather this time last year. That is a check on weather. Make it a great and safe one. Hope to see you this weekend on This Week in Agribusiness. Now to Bryce Knorr and a look at markets.
With futures markets trading electronically nearly round the clock these days, it's easy to dismiss what happens in the pit as an anachronism. But while pit trading is only a small fraction of total futures volume, most contracts still change hands when there are humans around to do the deals. Many market participants remain leery about the potential for computer-driven trading to cause mischief, especially in the wee hours. Buying and selling during the hours the pit is open, from 9:30 until 2 p.m., ensures the machines won't hijack the market completely. The importance of the pit trade was in play today, especially in the wheat market. Futures rallied overnight on reports China could be ready to import more wheat, but after reaching daily highs a few minutes before the opening bell in Chicago, wheat sold off quickly once pit trade began, and prices never really recovered. Adding pressure to the complex today was rain on the radar screen across much of Texas, from a storm that's expected to benefit fields from the southern plains into the Great Lakes over the next few days. Still, fields from northern Kansas into Nebraska don't look like they'll get much, staying on the dry side for the next 2 weeks. U.S. soft wheat remains the cheapest into many destinations, which may have prompted the latest SNAP tender from Egypt, due to close tomorrow before Friday's big USDA reports. I don't expect big changes from the government's 2012 supply and demand estimates, with the winter wheat acres for 2013 coming in around 42.1 million. Futures sold off today at all three exchanges. Chicago March was down a nickel to 7.45 1/2. Kansas City dropped a 7.5 to 8.01 1/4, and Minneapolis lost 4.5 to finish the session at 8.40 3/4. Weather and export news also hung over the soybean market today. Thursday's weekly sales report may only show 11 million bushels of new sales, which would lend support to ideas demand from China is slowing. Weather in South America remains favorable, with dry conditions forecast for Argentina over the next 2 weeks, helping farmers there wrap up planting. March beans lost only a penny to 13.85 1/2, but were unable to take out resistance at the old trend line drawn off summer and fall lows. Poor exports have been a fact of life in the corn market for weeks, and that trend is not likely to improve in Thursday's weekly report. Nonetheless, futures closed higher for the third day in a row, with the March contract ending 5.5 higher at 694 1/4 after cementing a move above its 200-day moving average. That helped attract some chart-related buying from bargain hunters ahead of Friday's government report. Keep up with the drought situation across the country by visiting www.datelinedrought.com.